Hi everyone, thank you for joining me. Today we are going to look at some poetry, which is really exciting. I'm wearing my Appalachian State t-shirt because I miss school, like I'm sure everybody watching does, whether you're Dr. Fry, one of my other professors, one of my friends, or a student who's here to learn about poetry. And you can still learn about poetry if you're not a student too, because it's fun and you're always going to learn. I learned stuff from this book, so let's learn together. So this book is what we're going to be using. It's called Firefly July. It is selected by Paul B. Ionesco and illustrated by Melissa Sweet. So why I said selected instead of written by or the author of this book is because there are 36 different authors in this book. And Paul B. Ionesco selected them. He chose them out of all the poems in the world that he liked them enough to put them in this book, and this book is about a whole year of poems. It is called A Year of Very Short Poems. So this book starts, I'll show you the table of contents, and the table of contents is always at the beginning of the book. So it starts with spring, and then it goes to summer and fall, and winter is last, because normally that's how we think about the seasons in the span of a year. Winter is last around when it snows and gets cold. So I'm going to read you the first page just so everybody can get a feel of this book. Here's the whole spread, and we can all see it says spring. Daybreak reminds us the hills have arrived just in time to celebrate. Now, I think they're probably talking about celebrating because winter's over, it's a new year, and there are probably so many things to be celebrating. Someone's dropped it. So that's kind of how this book is. They're really short poems, and there's amazing pictures with every poem. So that's a little bit about what the whole book's about, but we're going to focus on one poem today, and it's not the one I just read. That one was for fun. So I'm going to show you guys, I'm going to share my screen with you. I have a PowerPoint that I've made, and we are going to write together today. So this was our mentor text. So a mentor text is what we're gonna kind of look at and base our poem off of. We're not gonna copy the author of the poem, but we're gonna let them help us write our own poem about our own topic, but it's gonna be kind of the same way that they wrote their poem. So let's get started. Here is a picture of the spread, because a spread is when the pages go across the story or whatever you're reading goes across 2 pages, and the artwork, that's called a spread. So we're looking at 2 pages out of a book right here. Like if I open this book, it would be this side and this side, but on the inside. So I just wanted to show you guys the picture first. Where the blue box is over on the right side, that is where the poem is, but I didn't want you to see it yet because I want you to just guess what the poem is going to be about. So pause your screen, pause me, whatever you need to do, and just think about it for a second. Okay, welcome back. So when I looked at this page for the first time, I tried to not read the poem right away either because I really love the artwork. And the artwork can mean something completely different from what the poem means because it was done by 2 different people, right? Because the author probably didn't meet the people that chose their poem. They probably knew who they were and they chose their poem, but Melissa Sweet, the illustrator, didn't necessarily talk to the author of this particular poem on this page of this book and like discuss what she was drawing. So this is what she thought the poem needed. So I was just thinking, I was like, why is there a spoon up above what looks like trees? What are those green things to the left? And why is everything red? That's what I thought. It wasn't anything crazy. I was just wondering because when we are thinking about poetry and looking at artwork or doing anything or walking around outside, we always are asking questions. So those are the questions that I thought to myself and asked when I was looking at this artwork. And also, something I just noticed that I didn't notice before is that there are little chickens over on the cactus tree thing. Whatever the illustrator wants that to be, there are little chickens. So that's funny that I didn't notice that until now. Okay, so while I'm reading the poem, what was covered up in blue, on that same page, let's remember a couple of things. So I want you to think about what you notice. So if you have a piece of paper, or if you can remember it all in your head, or I would really write it down on a piece of paper, but that's just me. I want you to think about what you notice from this poem. We've already thought about the artwork a little bit. You can notice things about the artwork, but you've already seen that. That's old news. Maybe later we can make connections between the writing and the artwork, and maybe what the illustrator was thinking when she was drawing and painting these pictures. But I want you to think about what you noticed from the poem, from the words, please. I want you to think about what you feel, how this poem makes you feel, if it strikes up any feelings immediately, like when a word is said, do you feel something right away? I want you to think about what you see, not in the picture. I want you to think about what you see with the words. So just not going to give you any hints, just think about it. I want you to think about what you're thinking about. When I'm reading this poem, where does your mind immediately go? Does it take you to a place? Does it take you to a season? Does it make you think about a person that you've met before or that you know really well, like a family member or a friend or a pet? What does it make you think about? I know that's confusing. Think about what you think about, but just try. Think about what you are reminded of. So, does it remind you of something that you've done before? Does this poem remind you of something you ate once? Does this poem remind you of somewhere you've been? Does it remind you of somewhere that you want to go that someone's told you about? Does it remind you of anything? And last, think about what you wonder. Now, I told you guys I wonder a lot of things about that picture, specifically right now, what those chickens were doing on what I thought was a cactus. So I'm wondering things about the picture, but I want you to wonder things about the words, the poem, what the author has done, okay? So pause right now, write all these things down that you need to think about, or get ready, whatever you need to do. I'm gonna read the poem next. Okay, welcome back. So I took a picture of my book, and here's the poem from the same pages without the blue covering it up. Moonlight. Is that a silver spoon hanging below the clouds, or just moonlight? By Bruce Ballin. So Bruce Ballin wrote this poem specifically, and Paul B. Ionesco picked it and put it in his book. Okay, so after I was done reading, I'm going to share what I thought, felt, all those things that we talked about before. So I'm going to give you time to pause right now and either pull out your sheet of paper, your computer, whatever you wrote stuff down on. And if you need to read over it, the poem again, or your notes or whatever, to get on the same page as me, go ahead and do that now. Okay, welcome back. So this is what I noticed. What I noticed was the author's short lines. The sentence, the words on the page were not, it didn't take up a lot of room. There was like one word, one word, one word, two words maybe. So the author had really short lines. I felt empowered. The artwork was red. I know I said don't talk about the artwork, but everything was red, and that makes me feel like ready to go. And that's just the feeling that I got immediately after reading this poem. I felt empowered, and we'll talk about why in a minute. I saw a very detailed night sky. So I saw it in the picture, but I didn't know that it was nighttime because it was red. And normally, when I would think of nighttime, I would think of blue. But we were talking about Moonlight. The name of the poem was Moonlight. And also, they said, the author said that it was hanging below the clouds and talking about the moon. So I saw a very detailed night sky with all of the descriptive words that the author used, like silver, and it looked like a spoon, so it must have been like that kind of shape. So I'm seeing how they're seeing it. And below the clouds, that gives me a really good picture. I thought about how a poem can be a question. I have not really written a poem that was a question before, and I didn't really think that you could. And that is one of the best things about poetry is that everybody's going to write it differently. So when we're using mentor poems, it's awesome because we learn things that we didn't know about before. I didn't know that that is perfect and awesome and is going to make a great poem, just a question. So that's why we're always wondering, right? I was reminded of nursery rhymes because they're short, they're sweet, they're to the point, and a lot of times they talk about um, nighttime because normally when a baby is getting read nursery rhymes, or a kid or me, I could be reading them now, they're at night. They're to help you maybe go to sleep or take a nap or something. So I was reminded of nursery rhymes. And I wondered, why did the author think, or who, sorry, did the author think was hanging the moon? They said that the moon was hanging. So hanging from what? Who was holding it? I don't know. What was the author thinking? Did it just look like it was hanging? Was there maybe a cloud that kind of like looked like a string or something? And then also, why did they think of a spoon? If I was thinking of the moon, I my first instinct probably would not be to think it was a spoon because a spoon is like long and then it has a little circle on the end, but it's more like an oval and the moon is not an oval. So maybe that was the way that the clouds made it look that night. So this is what I have. I'm going to give you a chance to pause and think about anything, add anything to your notes that maybe my stuff made you think about, or if you remembered something else that you want to write down, go ahead now because we're going to use our notes in a minute. Okay, welcome back, everyone. So I have the poem right here on our left. I'm going to read it one more time because it may have been a little while since you heard it if you've been pausing a lot. Ready? Okay. Moonlight, is that a silver spoon hanging below the clouds, or just Moonlight by Bruce Bowen? So, things we noticed about the author's style and writing choices. So, first of all, the style and writing choices are going to be different with every author. They're going to be different with me and you. They're going to be different with you and your friend, who I hope is watching this with you. They're going to be different with everybody. Everyone in this book has a different writing style. They're all short poems, but every author has a different writing style, and they're chosen because they're short. That was what this selector, Paul B. Ionesco, wanted to incorporate, short poems. But every author has a different style and writing choice. And when we are using a mentor text, that is the beauty of it because we get to borrow their style and writing choices. So I'm excited. So one thing I noticed about the style and writing choice of this author, Bruce Bowen, is it was one sentence. So if I read this poem like a sentence, I would say, is that a silver spoon hanging below the clouds or just moonlight? So it is one sentence. It's not very long. It has one piece of punctuation. Another thing is that the sentence is a question. We've talked about this a little bit. I didn't really know that that was okay for a poem to be a question. I've seen a lot of poems where maybe the author is wondering and throws in some questions, but this is just a question. And I think that that is why I chose it, because there are so many opportunities for us to wonder about this poem and think about and make it our own because it's a question. We know that by the punctuation mark. Okay, so there are also short lines. We've talked about that a little bit. The short lines is on its own line, that is on its own line. The only times where we see more than one word are below the and the line below it, clouds or. So simple text was another thing that this author used. And by simple text, I mean words that you hear a lot, words that you might hear every day, words that someone in your family might use. You've probably heard most of these words. And sometimes authors use adjectives, words to describe things in their poems that are fancy, ones that are really awesome, but maybe we haven't heard. And I like this poem because we've probably heard a lot of these words. So we know kind of what's going on. So also something I noticed was the spacing where they, the author, wants it. Got a little typo right there. So we see here, there's just like a little chunk of space that the author probably chose for it to be there, maybe to give us like a quick second to think about if what they're gonna end in question. Like it could have changed, like hanging below the clouds or just something else other than moonlight. So it made me think like, what's he gonna ask? And then there's also spacing at the end before his name. And that could have been the author, an author choice or the illustrator's choice. I'm not sure, but I liked it. So we also see repetition. So repetition is when we see things more than once. So it could be the repetition of all of these leaves, the green leaves that we see right here in the picture, where in the poem we see repetition in the word moonlight because it comes here and here. So it happens twice. And we also see descriptive words. Another word for that would be adjectives. So we see silver is an adjective, it's describing the spoon. We see an ing adjective, it's hanging below the clouds. Below is also an adjective because it tells us where something's at. So we see a lot of adjectives. So here is my inspiration for the poem that we are going to write together right now. So exciting. So I took some pictures outside of my house of this really cool apple tree. I think it's an apple tree. I'm not sure. I haven't been here very long. So we're going to find out when it blooms. But I really liked it and I wanted to pick something that had to do with the seasons and nature because that's what Firefly July is all about. Everything is related to the seasons and the natural world, and it makes us think about the world during the day, maybe even when we're not writing. So, and that makes me think maybe the style of poetry that this selector of Firefly July, Paul B. Ionesco, wanted was observational poetry because I'm going to give you guys a secret. A lot of these poems in that book are about observations that we could make. And a silver spoon in the sky is kind of an observation. I mean, it is an observation. Everything in that poem, in that question, was an observation. And so we're going to think about that while we're writing our poem based on these pictures. I Oh, there's a bug. I chose these pictures because one, they're a little bit different, and two, one's further away and one's up close. So I kind of got to see the depth that I wanted to show you guys, because I can look at it up close, but you guys can't because we are virtual, which is still fun. Okay, so remember these pictures. I'm going to stop for a second. So if you want to pause and think about them, or take a picture on your phone, or screenshot them on your computer so you have them when we're talking about the next slide, when we're writing our poem, you'll have them. So go ahead. Okay, so I hope you have either a good memory of those pictures or you took a picture of them. So when I'm writing a poem, I'm not going to worry about the title yet. I could change stuff from what I'm thinking right now. So I'm going to do that last. But you can do it now if you want to, or at the beginning when you write your own poem. Oops. I'm going to have to go out of here and edit. Okay. So I think I'm going to start my poem with, we know it's going to be a question. So I think I'm going to do, are you? But hold on a second. We see here that it's just one word. Everything is just one word until we get down here. So I'm actually going to change. I'm going to put are you down here. And then I'm thinking about my picture. Let me go back and look at it because I've already forgot. So I could talk about the flowers or the grass or the limbs on the tree or the pink little buds or the sky. There's a little cloud back there. But something I notice in both of these pictures that stands out to me is the sun. The sun is shining behind it. And I also think that that works out nicely because the other one was about the moon. Our mentor text was about the moon. So we're going to flip-flop and do the sun. So what questions do I have about the sun in that picture? Are you a, could the sun be? I'm going to go back to the poem again. And it is, I do this when I'm writing poetry from a mentor poem. I go back and look so many times because we took all of these notes earlier. Oh, you see all of the arrows at once now. That's crazy. So one of the things that I saw was that there was a descriptor word, an adjective, right before the noun. So I'm gonna use a adjective. Something to describe the sun would be, I'm gonna say bright, because the sun is bright in those pictures, right? Are you a bright, so now I'm not, they were talking about the moon and they said spoon as the noun for the moon. So I'm gonna think of another noun that's not the sun or the sunshine shining through that might be bright. So things that are bright are definitely the sun or a light, but I'm trying to think of something specific because they said something so specific as a spoon. I'm going to say a lamp. I think that that is specific, and I'm looking at one right now shining light on me so you guys can see me on the screen. Are you a bright lamp? Okay, I like that so far. Back to our mentor poem. Is that a silver spoon? Okay, so now I need to talk about what the bright lamp is doing. In the picture, the bright lamp was kind of coming through the trees. So I'm going to say peeking. A bright lamp peeking. Well, no, you know what? If something's super bright like the sun, it's not peeking. It's not hiding kind of. It's really strong. So I need a stronger word than peaking. A bright lamp shining. Ooh, shining. Because peaking doesn't sound right to me. So I'm going to change it. Are you a bright lamp shining? So I think that this is where the author used two words. Yes. They said below the, and then there's another line that says clouds or. So I need that my next two lines, if I wanted to follow the author's style, which I think I do for right now, because I liked it. I like that part of his poem. I think I'm gonna use two words on my next two lines, like the author did. So I'm gonna say a bright lamp shining. What's the bright lamp doing? So I'm gonna not think about the moon, the sun. I'm not gonna think about the sun right now. What would a bright lamp be doing? Why would I have a bright lamp on? I have a bright lamp on when I read at night. So are you a bright lamp shining, helping me read? Oh, that's three words. I'm gonna leave it for now, and I'll come back and change it to fit the style in a second. Helping me read, or just, that probably works. Or just, and then I think, the author uses the word just at the very end before they say moonlight and have a big space. I want to follow the author a little bit closer because I really like the way that they wrote their poem. So I'm going to put just on its own line. And I'm going to change this up a little bit. Are you a bright lamp shining, helping me? Helping is a long word. So I'm going to say shining to help me read or. There. That fits better. I'm running out of room. We're writing so much. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller so we can see it all at once. Needs to be smaller. Or just, what word do I want to use? So whatever word I use right now is going to be also the title. Ooh, that's the pressure. I'm feeling the pressure, guys. So what are we describing? A bright lamp shining. So the author told us what their poem was really based on in the end. So I'm going to say sunshine because that's what this poem is really about, is the sun coming through. I'm going to make this space just a little bit bigger since we're running out of room. There we go. Ah, I love it. Are you a bright lamp shining to help me read or just sunshine? So I'm going to read the mentor poem one more time. Moonlight, is that a silver spoon hanging below the clouds or just moonlight? By Bruce Bowen. I'm going to read mine again, see if it flows. Are you a bright lamp shining to help me read or just sunshine? So I don't know about you guys, but I think I'm done with my poem. But there are with my writing, there are a couple style choices that I need to fix. I like the way that all of these words are capitalized. Let's see if the author did that too. Oh, the author did not capitalize all of the words. And I think that that might be because it's all one sentence. So I have a choice as a writer and a poet now if I want to change that or if I want to leave it like this. And I think that I want to leave it like this because we're using Bruce Ballen's poem as a mentor text. We don't have to do everything the same. But I am going to change where this or is capitalized because I just want all the words at the beginning of each line capitalized. And then also, I want to make everything in the middle so it lines up really nice. Okay, and then the title is Sunshine because that was the last word of our poem. All right, I think that that's pretty good. I like it. And I think it matches our pictures perfectly because the sunshine is shining through really strong. Yeah, I'm going to read it one more time. Are you a bright lamp shining to help me read or just sunshine? I kind of want to use the word strong. I know I said I was already done, but we can always go back and change things. Are you a, I think I want to use the word strong instead of bright. I think that that describes the sun a lot better because even on this picture over here on the right, where the leaves and the flowers and the stems of the tree, the branches are blocking it, you still see the sun shining when there is something in front of it. So I think strong is a better word because the sun is so strong in this picture. Are you a strong lamp shining to help me read or just sunshine? I like that better. Okay, so put it back in presentation. Okay, there we go. So we all need to be read. We all need somebody else to love our poems just as much as we do. So publish your poem with me. You click on this link and we're going to just put it on a Padlet together and we can all read each other's poems. And that is a great way for us to share and collaborate and maybe comment awesome, nice, kind things on each other's poems since we are virtual and can't be together in class. So if you post a poem, try and comment on somebody else's. And if you're the first one to post a poem, you won't be because I'll already post mine. So you can comment on my poem and I'll comment on yours. So also for this whole book, I have attached this video of a read aloud I found on YouTube. And if you want to listen to the whole book, and I haven't recorded it yet, then you can either click on the picture to the right over here where it looks like a video is about to play and it'll play automatically and then you can make it full screen. You can press the copy link button in the top and copy and paste it into your own browser on the internet, or you can type in this URL down here in orange that's underlined to your computer if you want to do it later. So whenever you guys want to watch it, the whole thing is there. Thank you so much for making some poetry with me. I hope that you have learned about author style and author choice, the choices that I made in my poem. I hope you make great choices in your poem too. I'm really excited to read all of your guys' poems and see the observations that you make. So thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you guys in person soon. But please upload your poem to your Padlet when you're done. Okay, thank you. You guys have a good day.